Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this YouTube advertising tutorial for beginners, you're going to learn how to set up some lead generation campaigns for just $5 a day to drive targeted traffic and customers to your website. Timestamp table of contents in the description, of course, along with some other helpful links to setting up the rest of your YouTube ads campaigns if you want to do more than just in-stream ads to drive traffic to your website, along with some other helpful videos to getting your sales funnel set up for success as a well-oiled conversion machine. Now, as we dive in here, there are three just basic steps to setting up your campaign. We'll go click by click through my screen. There are three things you need to do in order to make sure that your campaigns are successful. The first thing you want to do is, of course, set up a Google Ads account. The fastest way to do this is to just go to Google and type in Google AdWords, which is what Google Ads used to be called, and the first search result, you'll be able to click there and then easily set up your account in the top right-hand corner. Now, you don't have to use the same Gmail address that's connected to your YouTube channel when you're setting up your ads account, and you can have multiple ad accounts connected to multiple channels and one channel connected to multiple ads accounts. So you're not locked in with anything that we're doing here. And speaking of YouTube channels, that's the second thing you need to do. Once you've set up your account, you're going to want to connect your YouTube channel to your Google Ads account. So inside of your Google Ads dashboard, in the top right-hand corner, there's going to be a bunch of numbers and then the avatar picture of your account. You're going to want to copy those numbers and go over to your YouTube channel, go into advanced settings, and then scroll down to the section where you'll be able to copy and paste in your Google Ads account ID, and then go ahead and give your Google Ads account a name. Now, of course, if you're using the new YouTube Studio, you might actually have to go back to the old interface in order to get to this page. And the final thing you want to do, now that you've set up your account, you've connected it to your YouTube channel, is to go ahead and actually start setting up something called remarketing audiences. No matter what you do with YouTube ads, you want to make sure that you're collecting all the data you can. So all you have to do is click on the little settings icon, and you can go to Audience Manager, and here you can click that giant blue plus button at the very top, and you'll be able to create remarketing audiences based upon people who've watched your videos, subscribed, watched your videos as an ad. You can get really, really advanced here, but all you need to do before you set up your first campaign is create a series of remarketing audiences of people who've watched any video on your channel over a 30, 60, and 90-day period, and then anyone who has subscribed to your channel. With those four basic audiences, you'll be good to go. You can always come back to remarketing and create more audiences in the future, but the reason you want to set this up is, number one, it's only retroactive 30 days, and you're actually going to be able to use something called similar audiences in the future as you drive traffic. So this is going to make sure that you maximize your campaign budget. And with that, you're ready to set up your first lead generation campaign for just $5 a day. So you'll go into your Google Ads account and you'll navigate to campaigns. You see here I've selected campaigns on the left-hand side, and all of the campaigns you've set up in the past will of course show up here. If you're just setting this up for the first time, this is going to be blank. You won't have a long laundry list of campaigns as you see I have here. So we're just going to go ahead and click on this blue plus button and click New Campaign. Now, something that's going to be counter to things you may have seen in the past is I actually don't recommend using goals. Go ahead and set up a campaign from scratch. You want as much control as possible when you're setting up your campaign. Of course, we're doing video, so we're doing YouTube, so we'll click on video, and we'll click on a custom video campaign. A sequence is essentially making sure that someone watches video 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. It's an advanced and expensive thing that you don't need to do when you're just getting started with lead generation or YouTube ads in general. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and give our campaign a name, and make sure that you name it something basic that's going to be really clear on what the campaign actually is. And I'm actually going to put in parentheses in market, because as you'll see in a second here, we're actually going to make two campaigns for our $5 a day. Now, the budget campaign total, I never do this because essentially, you want to make sure that if a campaign's working, you can keep using it in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to daily, and I'm going to give it $250 a day because we're going to be spending $5 a day across two campaigns. Now for the start and end dates, I typically do an end date 3 or 4 weeks out. You can do however long you like. I used to not recommend doing end dates, but really Google will just spend your money until you're flat broke. So just in case something happens in life and you forget that you started running YouTube ads, or you break your leg and you're stuck in the hospital, you definitely don't want to be sitting there going, oh my gosh, Google is still spending my money. So we'll go ahead and set an end date a couple weeks out. We'll do September 14th, giving us a couple weeks to see whether or not this campaign works. For delivery method, you're going to go ahead and leave it at standard. Now for our bidding strategy, it's going to be our cost per view, And you can also do CPM. I really never recommend doing CPM as a beginner. Next, we want to choose our YouTube networks, and we're going to go ahead and uncheck video partners. Through all of our testing, we haven't found any significant improvement in costs per view adding display partners, and we've actually just found that whatever the display partners are, they're not as great as YouTube search results and YouTube videos, although this actually isn't really going to matter because we're going to be doing in-stream ads. Then down at languages, if you need a specific geolocation or you want to target a specific group of people, it's much more effective to use the location versus using languages. So for example, if you're a local-based business, what you'd want to come in here and do is click on advanced search and then go ahead and narrow things down. I would say add bulk location, so you could just type it in. So if you are local, then you want to do all the way down to zip codes, neighborhoods, and local cities. If you're targeting just a particular set of countries, then you can go ahead and type in all your countries here. And if you're targeting one country, then just go ahead, do the one country that you're targeting, and then the states or territories of that country, because you want to make sure that you only go 1 or 2 levels deep. You don't want to have all the way down to zip codes if you're targeting an entire country, because that's just going to segment your data way too much. So if you're targeting a country, just go countries and then territories or states. If you're targeting a specific territory or state, then target that territory or state, and then inside that, zip codes and neighborhoods, you'll be good to go. Hopefully that made sense. Timestamp table of contents, you can always come back to this part. Now, the next part is selecting the type of inventory. Now, again, we're still at the campaign level. I'll get to the differences between the campaign level and the ad group level in a second here. And this is where you decide what type of content you show up on. A lot of people just go with the standard one because they're afraid of showing up on fringe content, if you will. I think that's the best way to put it. Personally, I don't care what my ideal customers are watching. I just want to connect with them. So I'm going to go ahead and click expanded inventory. And typically we found that you wind up paying less per view with expanded inventory. If you have some concerns about your brand, then go ahead and leave it at standard or limited. Just know that you're going to pay a premium for doing that. Now with excluded content, you want to make sure that you check any of these boxes that are a concern to you. This is something that they keep saying they're going to be phasing out, but it's been almost a year and it's still here. So if that's something that's really important to you, make sure you check those boxes. And then excluded types, make sure these embedded live stream and video games have already been checked for you. And if you have any other really big concerns about your content, you can go ahead and go through these digital content labels as well. Now, under additional settings, there is something that we need to do. We need to go to devices and select targeting for specific devices and take off TV screens. The reason we don't want TV screens is we want people to be able to click over to our website. And when an ad shows up on the TV app, there's no way for anyone to click anywhere. So you're just wasted money if you're trying to drive traffic off of YouTube. So we'll make sure that TV screens are unchecked so that we aren't paying for views that really have no ability whatsoever to click over to your website. I'll leave these other operating systems alone. Now, if we're at only $2.50 or $5 a day, you don't have to worry about frequency capping. If you're a high roller and you're spending $30 to $50 a day per campaign, then yes, you definitely want to do frequency capping so you don't look like someone who's just spamming someone with videos. And that is the entire process you need to go through for creating your actual campaign. So at this point, you've created your campaign. I'd like to take a quick break here from the YouTube ads interface and show you this graphic to explain how your campaign is actually going to be structured. Now, something that's very important is you want to keep it simple. Please follow this campaign structure if you want to drive leads for just $5 a day. You can always get more advanced later. So at the very top here, you can see our campaign. And this is where we're setting our budget, our geo-targeting, our locations, and our inventory types. That's exactly what we just went over. Underneath your campaign is going to be your ad groups. That's what we're about to set up right now. And your ad groups are where you're going to decide who you're going to target. Now, because you're driving leads and you're only spending $2.50 to $5 a day, and we want to make sure we maximize your budget, you're going to be targeting in-market and affinity audiences. That's part of why I named the campaign that we're working on in-market. We'll go through affinity in a little bit. And then finally, underneath your ad groups, you're going to have your actual video ads. At the end of the video, I'll go through a 90-second script if you're not quite sure what the heck to do for your video ad. And it's very easy once you have your video to to easily duplicate your video ad across all of the ad groups. Now, something you'll notice with this campaign structure is that we actually have 2 different videos. I recommend having 2 to 3 videos in each ad group. Now, I know there might be some other videos you watched in the past that say, hey, only have 1 video per ad group. But when you're just getting started, because you can't split test your ads, actually what we want to focus on is figuring out which affinity and in-market audiences perform the best. So we're really focused on, let's figure out which ad groups work, and then we'll start segmenting and trying to figure out the ads later on. For now, we're just going to let Google choose which ad they think is the best. It's not the perfect scenario, but it is a structure that's going to allow us to maximize that $5 a day. So now let's go ahead and put together our ad group. And when it comes to ad groups, you want to think about who your ideal viewer is or who your ideal customer is. It's very important that we focus on who your ideal customer is. If you don't have an ideal customer profile, link in the description to a data-driven method to do this. But essentially, we want to think of an ad group as a person or a very small group of people. That's why we have that little avatar in front of each ad group on our diagram, because the ad group represents a person. So here I'm going to name the ad group in market. It'll make a whole lot more sense in a second. And we have lots of targeting options here. You see we have people, demographics, audiences, keywords, topics, and placements. And out of all of these targeting options, there are only 5 that you need to worry about. Age, because we want to make sure that we're not advertising to the 18-24 demographic who typically don't buy anything. And then we'll be using affinity, in market, and then your remarketing in similar audiences later on. Remember, when we first set up our account, we set up those remarketing audiences. Those are going to be pure gold in a couple of weeks or months after you've driven a couple thousand leads to your website. Now here, what we're going to do is focus on audiences. So I'm going to click on demographics and go ahead and uncheck the 18 to 24. I typically leave unknown alone. If you find that unknown is really sucking up a lot of your cost, you can change this setting later on, but it's going to, of course, increase your costs. So we'll go ahead and click on audiences here, and we're going to focus on in-market. And the main difference between in-market and affinity is in-market are people who are actually actively looking for a product or service, whereas affinity is more like they're generally interested in the topic as a hobby and they've been looking at it for an extended period of time. So what I recommend you do is go through this entire list, do all of the drop downs, and pick any remarketing audience that you think would be remotely close to your ideal customer, representing who your ideal customer is. And then you're going to choose your top 3. And after you choose a couple, you can click on ideas, and Google will actually start suggesting affinity and in-market audiences. So you don't actually have to click through every single one, even though I recommend you do, because this is your money, right? We want to make sure that we're targeting the best in-market audiences. So I've just gone ahead and chosen video software, advertising and marketing services, and SEO and SEM services. So what we'd actually do is, I've clicked all of these right now, but we'd actually make one ad group for each one. So I'm going to start with advertising and marketing services here. So I'll uncheck the other 2, and we'll go make an ad group again for those other 2. And I'm going to scroll back up because I'm going to name this the actual audience that I chose. So it says in-market advertising. That way, when I'm looking at all my ad groups, I know exactly which group of people I'm targeting. So with that, I've created all of the audience targeting I need for this first ad group. So we're actually going to make 3 ad groups, and then of course do this again for a campaign. Keywords, topics, placements, we're going to skip that. Your cost per view, I recommend starting between 10 and 15 or 20 cents for a in-stream ad that you're trying to drive traffic off of YouTube. I'm cheap, so I'm going to start with 10 cents. I'll raise it if YouTube doesn't give me anything, and then we can actually create our video ad. So remember, at the end, I'll go through the 90-second formula. Here, I already have a video done, so I'm going to copy the URL, come back over here and paste it in. And here you're going to be asked if it's going to be an in-stream or video ad. Bumper ads are those 6-second ads that are completely unskippable. Those are complete wastes of time for small businesses. They're pretty much just for big brands who are trying to keep awareness. So we want in-stream because we want to drive traffic off of YouTube. So I'm going to jump cut ahead here to filling out all this information. And just like that, I filled in all the information that we need for our in-stream ad. So you want to put in your landing page URL. You can change the display URL. That's the URL that's going to show up here. Let's go ahead and click on desktop so it's easier to see the preview. And then you want to click call to action. There's no penalty for having a call to action. That's what this little banner is going to be. And we're going to say click here because call to actions are pretty new to the YouTube ads platform. So people really aren't trained yet that they should be clicking it. And you actually have to click the blue button. They can't just click the banner. So you only have 10 characters. So I just tell people exactly what they need to do. Click here, then the headline, free webinar, and you're gonna see here that you can have a companion banner or masthead. You don't want to use this because if you use this with your in-stream ad, you're going to wind up paying every time someone views the video. So something that's great about in-stream ads is you only pay after someone watches 30 seconds of the ad. So they have 5 seconds to skip. And then if they skip before the 30-second mark, as long as your video is more than 30 seconds, so always be more than 30 seconds with your in-stream ads, as long as they skip within that first 30 seconds, you actually wind up not paying. And you'll see with the ad formula how you can actually use this to your advantage to get your brand and message out there to more people while reducing your costs per view and cost per lead costs. So it's very important that you don't click this, because if you click this, you're just gonna pay every time someone views a video, and we don't want to do that with our limited, $250 to $5 a day budget. So that's all there is to it, to setting up your in-stream ad. So here's the mobile preview. This is how it's going to look on mobile. And then this is how it's going to look on desktop. And with that, we've created our campaign, we've created our first ad group, and we've created our first ad. So we're going to need to create some more ad groups, and we're going to need to make at least one more ad. So I'm going to go ahead and give my ad a name, and when I click save and continue, hopefully I didn't forget anything. All right, awesome. So we have our quick little summary of our campaign. We're going to continue to our campaign. And the first thing we are going to want to do is create our second ad. So I typically recommend, of course, 2 to 3 ads. If you only have one ad, that's okay. Let's go ahead and click on the ad group that we've set up, and it'll automatically take us to ads. And we're going to want to add a new ad. And of course, it's going to be an in-stream ad because you can't have discovery and in-stream in the same campaign. And we'll go ahead, paste in our URL. It's gonna look the same. This is a different ad, I promise, but it just has a very similar thumbnail. And just like that, we've set up our second ad. So you'll see that I'm using the same URL display. I pretty much leave all the settings the same. Really, the only thing I'm testing is the ad creative itself. So these two ads are in fact different in the way that they deliver the first part of the ad. So we'll go ahead and click on save here, save and continue. And now we have our one ad group, or one campaign, one ad group, and 2 ads. So the next thing we want to do is go back up to the campaign level and create at least 2 more ad groups for the other 2 in-market audiences that we want to target. So we can click on this blue plus button, give our ad group a name it whatever the in-market audience we're going to target, uncheck 18 to 24, and then come on down to audiences. Google's already suggesting it to me, so I can go ahead and click on that. And let's make sure our cost per view is still 10 cents. We're gonna skip ad creation because we can actually copy and paste our ads. So we'll go ahead and skip and save and continue. It's going to ask whether or not this is an in-stream or discovery campaign. You always want you want all your ad groups to either be discovery or in-stream. We're driving leads. Let's go ahead and click on in-stream and save format. Then we'll be able to copy our ads from the first ad group that we had over to the second one. So we just click on ads and extensions, select these 2, then go back to ad groups here and click on the new one that we made. So I did Control C on a PC or Windows or Command C on a Mac to copy. And then once we've clicked on the ad group, it'll automatically take us to ads and extensions. And we Control C, Command V, and go ahead and click on paste. And now our 2 ads are in here. So if we go back to our diagram, you can see we have our campaign, and then we have our ad groups. We have 2 ad groups right now, and then we have the same 2 ads inside of the 2 ad groups we've created. Now, all you need to do is repeat this exact same process for one more ad group. So you have 3 ad groups inside your campaign at $250 a day. And then you'll go ahead and do this process all over again, except targeting 3 ad groups that have affinity audiences in them. And that's your $5 a day lead generation campaign strategy. And that's all there is to it to driving traffic off of YouTube. So if you got some value out of this video, go ahead and hit that like button because now it's time for the bonus round. We're going to go through what an actual YouTube ad script might look like. Of course, I saved this to the end because now that you know how to set up all the technical side, this is where you're going to start to spend the majority of your time testing your messaging. So here is a quick overview of the 90-second YouTube ad formula, and then I'll actually go through a live example of the script of the two YouTube ads that you just saw me put together. So your first 30 seconds is going to be a hook, and this is simply where you're going to call out who the ad is for and the result that they want to achieve. And this is where you can use that first 30 seconds to your advantage. So the first 5 seconds, just remember that no matter who watches it, everyone's going to see it. So if you can get some sort of graphic or picture of yourself or your business or your brand, you get some brand awareness in there real quick, and then you go straight into who the video is for and who the video isn't, because you don't want to pay for people who aren't interested in whatever your business is or whatever you're trying to offer. Now, once you've passed that 30-second mark, hypothetically, you only have people who are somewhat interested and somewhat qualified in what you have to offer. So what you want to do is immediately tell them what you want them to do as a result of watching the video, which is a call to action. Click or tap, click or tap, top. Oh my gosh. So click or tap. Obviously you don't want to mess up like that when you're doing your YouTube ad. Click or tap the top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop. And so you can actually put up arrows, or you could just point where the little banner is going to pop out and make it really clear exactly what you want people to do. Then for the rest of this time, you're going to quickly state what your unique selling proposition is. This is your elevator pitch, and then give yourself some sort of quick introduction. And if you have some sort of picture that provides credibility to who you are and what your business can do, go ahead and do that. You don't want this to turn into a bragging session. Now, the rest of the bulk of the video is going to be what you can do for them. So this is talking about results you can deliver and pains you can take away. How can they get what they want without doing all the stuff they hate? That's pretty much what you do for the next 60 seconds. Then you have 15 seconds to debunk a myth. This is where you can position yourself as a contrarian, saying, hey, everyone's doing this to be successful, but you should actually be doing this, or actually this is something that you shouldn't do if you're XYZ, right? And whatever that XYZ is should hypothetically represent whoever your ideal customer is. And then you'll wrap up again with simply saying, here's my elevator pitch, and you need to click or tap, oh my gosh, click or tap top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop. Definitely practice before you start recording. So that is all there is to it, to putting together a script. Now let's jump back into my screen here, and I'm gonna quickly walk you through a YouTube ad script that is used for both of those videos that you saw. Of course, you feel free to pause if you want to take a deeper dive into this particular script. So I've just highlighted quickly here. In blue, we start with the hook, and the hook here is growing a YouTube channel and driving more views to your videos with no marketing budget. So this is saying, here's what you're going to get, and here's what you don't have to have in order to get what you want. And I've underlined no marketing budget, and I've also underlined still use my cell phone for videos to really point out that this is for people who don't have a big budget. So it's a way to illustrate you don't need money in order for this to be successful. Now in the next place, our call to action, we have click or tap. There we go, finally said it right. And then we have our little elevator pitch, simple 5-step content machine that allows you to predictably grow your audience. That's it. There's our second step, our CTA, our unique selling proposition, and then a brief introduction. And I actually don't wind up finishing the introduction. This is something that I got from a really great copywriter named John Benson. So if you're interested in VSL formula and all that fun stuff, you can go ahead and Google search his name and he'll pop up. Now, the next thing you want to do is the next 45 to 60 seconds, results, benefits. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to this part, so I just do bullet points, quick, like this is 3 or 4 things you're gonna get as a result of clicking the link, getting the lead magnet, or watching the webinar. So here for the results, we have idea generation, we have first page rankings, and we have a few hours a week. And then for the pain reversals, we have increase your video's watch time, and then we have don't have a lot of subscribers, and then feeling burned out. So we're talking about here are the results that you get, and here are the things that you're no longer going to have to deal with as a result of getting the results that you're looking for. So next we have the big mistake. Here I just talk about monetization. That's kind of the big mistake and myth that I debunk. And then finally the call to action, click or tap, top right on mobile, bottom left on desktop. And I restate in a different way the unique selling proposition of this offer, which is a webinar again. And that's all there is to it, to putting together your YouTube ad script. So that's a 90-second formula, timestamp table of contents, of course. If you want to jump around and go ahead and pause the screen, definitely remember that you should write your own. Like, copying and pasting what's here is not going to work for you, because it needs to be in your brand voice. And so with that, you have set up your lead generation campaign, and you have everything you need to get started generating leads on YouTube for just $5 a day. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth YouTube advertising and marketing strategies just like the ones covered in this video. Make sure you check out the timestamp table of contents in the description, along with a bunch of playlists and other videos to get other types of campaigns set up with YouTube ads if you want to drive more subscribers, or you just want brand awareness, as well as in-depth tutorials and playlists on how to put together your landing page, write your landing page copy, and of course, optimize your sales funnel for conversions. So until the next video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and keep building the business you love.